So the partials really help people call, because then they have to look at the target area in the context of it and say it's okay. And if it's like, if I shoot one to the outside of the nipple and somebody was in the way, I'm fine with that.
BakerTargets.com is where I get the targets you see me shoot all the time on Active Self-Protection Extra. They ship fast, their prices are great, and they have all kinds of targets, both for competitive shooting, defensive shooting, and fun too. Check them out.
That's a good shot for me, and it's less risk. And it was like I did it on the channel, and some guy said, why didn't you shoot the headshot? And I haven't really answered him because I don't have time for it right now, but I'm doing something. But look, if I have a head box here, and I have another person right here that's the partial, so think about their heads right here, and then their shoulders right here. And if I miss the head box, where's that bullet gonna go? In their face or their neck, so that's high risk. I might have greater area, but I have a higher risk. Hunters know this. How many shots have you gone and it's not worth it? I'm either gonna hurt that animal, I'm gonna miss that animal, I really can't bag that animal. You work for the best shot, and sometimes that requires patience, and you have to understand, you know, it's a lot better if I shoot the deer from the side, you know, in a shot than getting a slight angle on the shot. And I can't have anything hit the bullet on the way, and it's harder to shoot around a tree, and there might be a branch if it's a long shot. All those things matter. So what we do is start negotiating that my pattern of recognition matches what's happening on the target. The way people do it, though, is too late. They go and look at the target, and then they don't have all the other information. They just say, I missed. And then they get mad at themselves, and they say, I'm going to try harder, and it doesn't fix it. Does that help everybody?
Yeah.
The other thing you can do is T-shirts over the target.
Oh, okay.
So rifle class, if we have to shoot somebody at long distance, we can actually tell what distance you're at by the shape of your body, whether I can see your face, I can see your hands,
Sure.
or the shoulders. And since nothing's marked on the target, what we do is we intersect from the center of the body across the shoulders. Now, if I shoot from the side, it's from the ear hole. If I shoot from the back, it's below it's a lower shot. I can't shoot here because I don't have access. So from the lower, from the spine,
Sure.
all right? And in the center. So I need to know these things. That's what hunters know that tactical shooters don't know, is that the shots, and very seldom will it be a complete facing shot. So the guy that's preaching central nervous system shots is full of shit. Because they're really hard. They're 1 inch. And we don't know what the bullet's gonna do when it hits flesh. So I could hit dead center here, but if I have a little bit of deflection, it goes this way, or it hits a rib and goes down. And that's why 22s are incredibly dangerous, because they do this. And surgeons are like, I can't fix all that. I don't even know where. So that's how you work through that stuff. You ever watched a kid play a game? A video game. How long does it take them to figure out the patterns? A couple hours. And then once they really figure them out and they can beat the game, they're done.
Yeah, they want a different one.
Yeah, they want a different pattern, but it's the same pattern, you know? It's just with different inputs.
Yeah.
So that's what you're teaching people is recognition prime decision making, is I've seen this pattern before and I can predict with a 90% probability because of my shooting it went here. My wife has a hard time being my AI for this reason, because I'll suddenly pivot. Because it's important. You were shooting well, why not go ahead and do the test? Instead of me saying my schedule says thus, you know, wear them out and then do it. So we pivoted. Things I think a good coach should really be is, number one is you need to be technically competent. Now, what does that mean? Depends on the level of shooters you have, right? So my technical competence may be a bit different than yours, but you should be technically competent. Any progress that I make from here on is really selfish. You know, I'm just doing it for myself at this point. It's not because I can't teach a class with it, but exploration, experimentation, and speculation is part of it. So that helps, okay? Should be a really good presenter. It's really important how you speak, the words you use, what we do, okay? You should have a high level of preparation so you can adapt to all the crises that are going to focus on you. Because every day I've had a different change of people, I've had medical emergencies, had people get sick, had something change, so adaptability comes from the idea of preparation. You've learned that in shooting now, right? If I'm ahead of it and it changes slightly, I can fix it. So you guys saw a real life build drill get fixed in the middle of it. So that's available to you. Okay? You need to be an exceptionally good EQ manager. Your IQ really doesn't matter much in teaching. And in fact, it'll trap you. The smarter you are, the bigger the trap it is. My dad was a Mensa member, huge trap. No people skills, really smart dude. Spent a lot of time alone. You know, that's how that works. So be good at managing people and their emotions and your own emotions. There's two types of genius, intrapersonal and interpersonal. All right, you need both to be a good manager. And Neil's got a certain level of that because he's in sales. That's how it works. All right? I'm not a particularly good salesperson, but I'm pretty good at leading and managing because I've always volunteered to jump into the position. And the final thing is your legacy as an instructor. And that legacy was just established out there. You guys have taken the knowledge, it's now your own, no need for attribution. You can spread it to the next person. And that's the only true legacy that we have, is not you say, Brian taught me this, you make your students better. That's the true legacy. And if you look at instructors that are really good at one thing, a lot of their instructors afterwards are very good also. And that's a true legacy. And we worked hard in martial arts to establish that. And there's a lot of issues in it. How many instructors do you know that have really poor people skills? They don't greet you in class, they don't know your name, they can't take the time to speak to you, and they expect you to kiss the ring, buy them dinner, and move on. You know, and that's horribly aggravating. Claude Warner's always said everybody should read Dale Carnegie because they'd be better instructors, you know. 100%. Yep. So if you aspire to be a good conversationalist, be an attentive listener. Now, how many of you learned today you don't listen particularly well? Right? No, all of us do that. But to be interesting, be interested. Ask questions the other person will enjoy answering. What questions do you usually ask? Where are you from? What do you do? Those are not interesting to them. They're not interesting to you. All right? The other person will enjoy answering them. Encourage them to talk about themselves and their accomplishments. So you know what I asked? I did it with John today. I was like, hey, what are you excited about? How do you get this information? Because I really want to see what his process is. I want to have that conversation instead of just stuff like that, because it really interests me. And I tell you what, you find any person, you say, hey, what's going on in your life that's really cool right now? And they'll search for a little bit and they're like, well, I'm doing this thing. And if you pay attention, you'll learn everything you need to know about them. Know yourself and be true. Don't try to be me. Don't try to be John. Be yourself. Okay? I wouldn't wish my personality on anybody because it's excessively difficult. It works for me, but I don't expect you to be like me. I am a martial monk. You have to be very careful who your heroes are. And, you know, Master Po and Kwa Jing Kang and Master Khan have turned me into a guy that trains, disciplines, meditates, takes care of himself, but he's not particularly a fun guy anymore. Not a lot of fun to be around sometimes. All right? My wife suffers in that, but she understands me and she's compassionate about it. So do your own style. Carrie couldn't be like me. I couldn't be like Carrie. She needs to be herself. And when you're yourself, you're genuine, and people really appreciate that. They appreciate the genuineness. You create the first impression at the range or on the video of who you are instantly. I try to greet people before they get to me instead of letting them come to me, because that's a power play. I greet them at the door. I tell them how happy I am they came. I express how interested I am them spending their time with me, and I really appreciate it. Think about it. You know, most of you I know, but that's what I do when I come to the range. And I try to establish a connection right away, because I've got to teach you, and if I don't understand you and there's no connection, how can I do it? I'm just throwing darts at the wall and hoping it works out. So for some of you that's easy, you do it on a natural basis, and some of us it's not as easy. We have to work at it a little bit. It'll feel a bit artificial and manipulated, but it's the way you want to be anyway.